Well, the big thing about artificial intelligence is there's very basic levels of, hey, we're just playing a video game and game beats me at chess. What about very advanced technologies of running our nuclear missiles? And then to the next level of, it starts to optimize our life. At what point do we let artificial technology take over? And at what point should we say, hey, let's put the brakes on? So where do you think is the best uh, comfortable entry zone for artificial intelligence into the regular person's life, and where do you think is the limit?
Sure. Well, so I think that eventually artificial intelligence is going to get to the point where there is no limit. You can't try to stop it. If you try to stop it, you'll just be killed. Uh, so try all you like. Um, but I mean, the reality is that it's likely that within our lifetime, artificial general intelligence, meaning artificial intelligence that is able to do anything that a human can do right now just as well or better. The reality is that most likely within our lifetime, artificial general intelligence will get to the point where it'll either make humanity go extinct or create an awesome, like, blissful paradise for us better than we can possibly imagine. So to say, like, oh, we need to draw the line somewhere is sort of like not really something that you can necessarily do. Whether this happens within our lifetimes is another question. I think it probably, I think there's a greater chance than most people think that it will. Um, but in any case, drawing the line isn't necessarily something we have the luxury of doing. So yeah.
Interesting. What about particular industries like the finance industry? There's AI bots trading now, like Acorns and Robinhood and all this other stuff. Um, is there a particular industry we should try and keep AI out of? So, for example, we might have regulations on AI being integrated with humans. But China, for example, and no bias there, might say, "Hey, we're gonna allow a free ball for it." So all of a sudden, China gets a huge hand up on the rest of the world. Is there certain industries we just should say, "Hey, no"?
Well, you have the same issue there as the first question. Like you can't necessarily stop it. Someone is eventually going to do it. China will eventually do it. It's a big issue today that we're in essentially an AI arms race. Like it is arguably like the most important issue in the world that more people work on the AI control problem, which is trying to research how to make it so that artificial intelligence does not make humanity go extinct. But very few people are actually researching that. There are like a couple hundred people in the entire world researching that, and the majority of companies like ours are building artificial intelligence. So humanity's basically fucked. Um, uh, but increasingly people are starting to realize it's worthwhile to invest in. Like what we do is web development and data science consulting. So we do a lot of artificial intelligence. And we're just sort of like, we're not a startup, we're a profitable bootstrapped company. Like we build people websites and apps and also do tougher computer vision, natural language processing type of stuff, which is those are like the two coolest applications of artificial intelligence today. And we also want to and spend some amount of time working on internal projects that could do some good, like trying to build the operating system for brain to computer interfaces. So like eventually artificial intelligence will be an extension of our thought. Like imagine like the most awesome conversation you've ever had in your entire life. Imagine having that in every single conversation you've ever had. Imagine like thinking something in your natural language of thought and translating it perfectly into somebody else's natural language of thought and actually knowing that they understand you. Like, for example, when you say something right now to somebody, there's a good chance they don't understand you. There's a good chance they just are like, yeah, I understand, and they're pretending and they don't actually understand. Like, what percent of you here tonight, right now, understand the thing that I'm saying right now? Raise your hand if you do. So I don't know. I don't know if you're telling the truth. If you really do, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it actually wouldn't be that difficult to monitor your brain state and determine whether or not you do. It also wouldn't be like our company could actually build something to do that, and that's not that far off. And that's like that's not necessarily like it's not necessarily. You could argue so that's not a good thing, right? You could argue it's like an invasion of privacy and stuff like that. But the reality is,
Okay, hold on here. So you're basically saying that AI in the future is going to read your mind and kind of like let the other person know exactly what you're thinking?
well, yes, actually. I mean, to say it's AI is not necessarily entirely right. But essentially, yeah. I mean, it's also ideally it should be designed in a way that's sort of opt-in, and like not invasions of privacy, and designed so as to empower humans and give us greater control, greater agency, right? And I think that's really important because the reality is this is going to happen whether we like it or not. And the alternative is that it's sort of like built by companies like Google and Facebook, and you're advertised to mid thought, which is totally plausible. Like imagine thinking something and then getting interrupted with an ad. That's actually what you experience all the time right now, right? Using technology today, all technology is built. A lot of technology is built today in a way that's ad supported. So you're trying to do something, and to a large degree, technology as it exists today is really an extension of yourself itself already. Like when you try to figure things out online, you Google something and you're interrupted with ads. Eventually, you'll be able to just think and wonder the answer to a question and have that question automatically populate. Eventually, you'll be able to like think something and think like, "Hey, remind me to do X," and then you'll get. Yeah, exactly.
Last question, guys. Don't worry. We'll get back to the music and some positive thoughts. Just last question. And beer and alcohol.
Okay, so let's change the topic on the AI. But anywho, maybe everyone's thinking of this, maybe not. But so AI, it's done a few things that's pretty impressive. So it can beat the world's best poker players. I think it can beat the world's best Go player, which is supposed to be very advanced. I don't know much about it. But it kind of makes you answer or ask the question, what about like trading stocks? Like, how come no one's invented an AI that'll beat the stock market and just like kind of like filter money into like one person or entity?
We're actually working on this right now. But the funny thing is, like, algorithmic trading, basically, just it is really tough to do this with machine learning. And my suspicion is that so I think a lot of people are doing this, but they don't tell anybody. Because once you figure it out, you don't want to tell people. Because you can make a lot of money doing that. So yes, I think there's a good chance that it is already happening. I'm sure it is in some form. Like for example, we built crypto trading bots, which like if you just bought and hodled or held the cryptocurrency that you bought in January, chances are you would have lost like somewhere between 75 and 90% of your total holdings if you bought lots of different altcoins, which are coins besides the top coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, stuff like that. And the crypto trading bot that we built actually would have only lost like 10% of your holdings, so that's pretty good, right? That is true. But the thing is, that's just mostly a momentum-based trading strategy. It's not something with machine learning. Machine learning is artificial intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. It's something that's thrown about all the time, but it's not really such a scary thing. It's just algorithms, like computer programs. So, like, we've built computer programs with artificial intelligence that do things like let computers see. Like, for example, like building stuff that allows computers to see things like companies are started all the time that do things like one of our clients replacing people doing the very dangerous job of inspections on engine rooms on ships at sea by having that be done by computers. You can do all sorts of cool stuff like basically replacing all the most monotonous, shitty parts of life today, like teachers grading tests, for example, eats up a whole lot of time and is a real pain in the ass, and that's something that can be easily automated. Like, imagine, like, in the not too distant future, like, all the shittiest parts of your life that you don't like doing, you'll be able to just have artificial intelligence do for you. And the thing is, that is not artificial general intelligence. That is not, like, AI. That is essentially just as smart as a human being. Instead, it's just one particular thing built with artificial intelligence, artificial narrow intelligence. That's the type of stuff that we do right now.
So, guys, you guys better show up to the next event about artificial intelligence. And Judd is really smart, but he way overwent my at least my intelligence, because I'm not that smart. But guys, please sign up for our next event. Judd will be there. It's going to be exciting. But one thing, it's going to be at the castle. It's going to be exciting. I just want to thank everybody, and also Alex, you want to say a few words before we end? Here, go ahead. Beer.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming, and especially our panel speakers, Judd, Liron, and Nicolin, and especially Peter for putting together a lot of things for this event, as well as Kurt. We're kind of the organizers here, and hopefully whatever we're all here and you guys makes a positive impact on others in the future, and we just have some fun in these events. If that's the worst thing that happens, we just have a blast. That's it. Thank you.
Hey, Kurt, why don't you say a few things?
All right, well, thanks guys for coming. It's the first of many events, and hopefully each and every one will get bigger and better than the next. So, make sure you're on the email list for the photos and also the updates on the next event. Next event is in Calabasas at a real life castle, and we're probably going to put together something maybe a little wacky to, get the attention going. We'll see. But yeah, make sure you sign up.
Yeah, make sure you get the email so you guys get the photos. And we'll turn over to the music real quick, but I want to end on a good note. One thing is, I will say that we still don't know who we are, what we are. Where does thought come from? Artificial computers are out there, and they can create some thoughts based on some data that we give them. But where does true thought come from? Well, are we a spirit? Who are we? There's in my mind, there's a lot of unanswered questions. And there's many very, very smart people like Tesla, Nikolai Tesla, not the company, but they believe that people can even telepathically communicate with their brains, and we have different brainwaves out there. There's a lot of things out there. One thing is good to remember is that we don't know who we are, and we don't know anything. We're just starting out. So all these topics will be brought up in our next event, but I do want to share one thing that a speaker brought up, and I think, if I'm not going to butcher his name, Liron, right? He's paying attention now. He did say, he really tries to do things for the greater good, and I have a friend that says the same thing, and this is what the events are about, doing something for the greater good. So I appreciate you guys for coming out here. I'm going to turn it over to Vadim, who's going to play some live music for you guys. So why don't you guys relax, have a good time, and hopefully you'll sign up and have a blast at our next event. Thanks.